Good morning. You're listening to Guiding Stars, Evolutionary Astrology Radio. This is your host, Kristen Fontana. Guiding Stars is an interactive, soul-centered astrology talk show using the symbolic language of evolutionary astrology to enlighten and empower you on this journey. If you've missed any prior broadcasts, there's an archives here at Healthy Life. The archive button is right there next to the Listen Live button that you clicked on to hear this show. Also, if you have any comments or suggestions, we do want to know about it. You can email me through my website at KristenFontana.com. All right, before we get started, if you are a new listener, we do have a wonderful website for you to learn more about evolutionary astrology. The website is schoolofevolutionaryastrology.com, and within the website we have a learning forum where you can participate in ongoing practice threads. We've got currently a beginner's thread that's in progress that David Green is leading, and going through the paradigm step by step from the very start. And so you can read what's already been posted or jump in as you wish and use this as an opportunity to develop what you know and strengthen your evolutionary astrology knowledge. Also, if you're interested in becoming a more serious student, we do have a correspondence course available, which is the original course taught by Jeff Green, the founder of EA, and it's a series of 27 DVDs that are sold in 3 segments. You can purchase them separately or all together, and there's more information about this invaluable body of work on the website. All right, so I am joined here today by my friend and colleague, Simon Forster from Sweden, and we've been moving through, not the entire zodiac, because we're looking at Pluto from a generational perspective, and we start with Pluto in Cancer, or Pluto in Leo, I don't remember, Simon, but we've made it all the way to Pluto in Capricorn, so welcome back to Guiding Stars, Simon.
Thank you so much, Kristen. As always, just super amazed to be here and to share this space with you, and to just be, amplifying EA and, being part of the experience.
It's awesome. I love the show. I love to be able to gather with other evolutionary astrologers and just, it's one of these professions of sort where we know we're on our own a lot of the time, right? We're just doing the work and loving it, but it's always a joy to be able to connect with other people that are as passionate about it as we are, and so hopefully we can also do our best to share with you all listening what we can to help guide you along your way. And so, is there anything you'd like to announce, though?
For me, I've just recently had some inspiration regarding Pluto and just sharing my sharings on it. And on my YouTube channel, which if you go to YouTube and you type in Simon Forster Astrology, you'll see me there, or Evolutionary Astrology Simon. And there are a couple of recent videos where I talk about Pluto through its generations and how if you're trying to understand Pluto in your chart, that's personal to you, then you also have to include the sign that Pluto is being ruled under. So, for instance, Pluto in Leos, you guys look to your sun sign and see where that's specifically being individuated for yourself. So, and that goes through up until Pluto in Sagittarius and Pluto in Capricorn. And just some other small little videos that really can get you interested in, taking the time to look at your charts and objectify the nature of what your soul is trying to do. And my YouTube channel is something that I love to share a lot of knowledge on. There's a lot of live streams that I do, questions and answers. I really enjoy responding to people's questions through, me being able to learn and to be able to access, information that would not necessarily always be on my fingertips because I'm not generally focused on whatever question's coming my way. So, if you're curious about certain questions or certain things, then you can always write me an email, and you can find my email address at simonforster.com, which is my website. Otherwise, just write in the comments below and in the YouTube videos, and I'll be happy to create a video to answer your question so that everybody gets to learn about it, not just one person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's pretty much it at the moment.
Sounds great.
And,
I love what you just added, and you're talking about it. I haven't watched this video, but just how you take the ruling planet of whatever your Pluto is in from a generational perspective. Of course, whatever house that planet is. Pluto's in for you is a big part of this, and then we always do look to the depositor, the ruling planet there, so that's a very good video on that. Cool.
I have loads of goosebumps that come over that, because I really felt, to me, one of the things, and I'm going a little bit off tangent over here, and I hope that's okay, but to me, one of the things that's really important when we spend time learning about our astrology, in other words, objectifying our own charts, spending time listening to what archetypes are within ourselves, and what is our soul's journey, and how can we best help ourselves understand what is happening on a deeper level. And getting in touch with your charts on an individual level like that, where you look at the sign that's ruling the Pluto and look at the planet there, can really help you differentiate. And I feel that one of the things that this whole entire series has been with you has been that we are going through a huge transition. We're always going through a huge transition, of course, evolution. But right now, there is a huge acceleration in the way that we as human beings are evolving, okay? And part of that is into a state of individuality. And just off the kind of sharing over here again, when we understand the future in terms of what's coming for us, in terms of alignments and energies that are going to be shaping the way that we evolve or giving us the potential, individuality is going to be a really, really big thing. And the more that we can get in touch with our astrology and our soul's journey in some way, the easier it's going to be to objectify the nature of what we're going to be processing as life gets more awakened for us, And that's why I personally believe that Yogananda and Sri Yukeshwar had actually pointed to astrology when they were talking to Jeffrey L. Green, because they were like, look, in the future, this material is going to be intensely valuable, because people are going to be progressively become more aware that there is something happening and there is a larger force that moves through us. And if we can have a sort of map, as it were, to objectify the nature of what that could be, so that we could use that to get more in touch with ourselves, then, this is it. So, and there's many other forms as well, not just EA, but it's a really powerful tool, so yeah.
Yeah, that is for sure. And you talked about things accelerating. Uranus is currently forming a trine to Saturn, which rules Pluto and Capricorn. Actually, it's forming a grand trine in the sky right now with the North Node in Leo. And so there's a lot of support in order or available to help you take charge of your creative life purpose and your own individual way in the world. And it will allow you to establish yourself with greater ease if you make the efforts now to do so. And the astrology piece you talked about helping us understand why things are happening in the way they are, whether it's collectively or personally. Of course, the Uranian signature in any chart is going to help you objectify your life, yourself, your past in some way. And then also help you objectify the harder turns. And, we just had a client who emailed me after a reading that we had done, and was kicking herself for not talking to me about some health issues that she has. And, of course, when things show up in our physical body, I think of Pluto and Capricorn having to do with so much that people repress over time, right? It can manifest in health issues. Anything that we emotionally repress, that body gets filled with dis-ease, in a way. It can really be a reflection of being emotionally, I would say just emotionally at a place of dis-ease. And that all disease or all health issues are rooted in emotional unrest. And so it's really important right now that we take whatever we are holding on to within ourselves and connect really with this trine, this Saturn-Uranus trine, and be able to look at it, release it, move it, and allow ourselves to reflect what feels most natural to us, with Saturn being in the sign of Sag. So I just wanted to share some of that, because I feel like it's a very important, not just week this week, but the next month this grand trine will be active for everybody. So
yeah, that was super. Like, that was really amazing, because that is it. It's like there's so much truth in what you shared right now that just practically applying what you've just shared to your own life right now, as you've shared that, like the fact that emotions manifest as the seeds and the body is a temple in which God exists within, right? So the God would be the representation of your consciousness, and the temple is the church, right? 7 chakras, 7 candles.
Right.
We're dealing with like the Virgo Pisces axis here in that sense, and this is a time in which the ability to purify that body and our bodies and our temples, and to get more in touch with that process as the divine feminine can rise through us and access the potential that the human contains, that we all contain. It has to go through that process of clearing and purging the emotional body, which is evolution itself, confronting that Scorpio, and detoxifying ourselves, Pisces, through developing an ego that supports that process, Cancer. And, as we got the Pluto and Capricorn generation, I mean, these kids, these little ones, I have 2 of them, and so I'm very, observant of what they are showing me, because they represent something to me in my own personal journey, or at least that's what I choose to believe. And also just what they are experiencing as they are growing up. And when I say growing up, I mean, we're talking from a group of kids that can really only be from the ages of 0 to 7 plus 2, 3, 2. So 9 years old is the first Pluto and Capricorns that really came into the world. And what have they been exposed to? What has the world been like for the last 9 years? Think about that. Think about that imprinting and their conditioning. And you can already begin to see what part of their story they're going to be sharing with us. And from my point of view, the first thing that happened when Pluto entered Capricorn is everybody went, uh-oh, everything's crashing, or the stock market, or there was intense fear, the financial industry, all of those types of things. And as we progressively became more into the Pluto in Capricorn transit, I mean, we literally we transitioned from the material plane as a way of interacting just by ourselves, i.e. people writing letters and sending it through the post, to now being completely online, right? That transition where we relate to ourselves as human beings in such a different way that most, or almost 90% of all our social interactions is through social media, and the game's changed. And that's what they are. They are the game changers. And the initiation of that wave is manifesting itself right now through parents like myself who are at the end degrees of Libra. And that's a whole beautiful little discussion to have around gender equality and gender switching. Remember when we started with Pluto in Cancers, we talked about the nature of the home, we talked about the nature of gender assignment. Now we get to Pluto in opposition to when the Pluto in Cancer souls are on the planet, and we're seeing now a large movement through the Pluto and Libras on one level, and of course Pluto and Scorpios on another level, where we're seeing gender equality and gender neutrality, and one thing that was really interesting was, I don't know if anybody follows this person called Russell Brand. Anyway, he's an Aries sun sign, so his Uranus is, the Uranus natal, transiting Uranus is on top of his sun sign, and Aries in their solar charts are also having Pluto transit their 10th house, and he became a father. Now, what I want to share through the story is that as he became a father, he openly said that he is not going to educate his daughter or son, whatever it was, in terms of gender assignment. He wasn't going to say, you're a man or a girl, so you've got to abide by these circumstances and rules, etc. He was basically going to raise the soul in a way in which they get to identify with themselves what they feel as a gender, and then biology will have an influence in terms of how they have to operate, but their internal relationship to that is something that is completely undefined, and they get to do that. And that is a really, really big thing, because coming from somebody that has a strong Aries imprinting, and then considering that Pluto and Uranus have been in a square for the last 6 years and are still in a square, breaking down all structures in which we relate to ourselves, and the Cancer archetype, which is, at the bottom of that square, the way that we emotionally relate to ourselves and the way that we identify on an emotional level. This is all changing rapidly for ourselves, and he just represented something to me when I saw that as that energy. Like, he might be in a kind of like individuated state, so he might not necessarily completely understand that totally, but that expression was, to me, what encapsulates the Pluto and Capricorn, a way in which we're going to identify ourselves that has never been related to before. And it's really, really exciting and scary at the same time, because a lot of us feel very, very insecure right now around and uncertain around what is happening in the world, which, if you think about it, these kids have got the Neptune in Pisces.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Wow. Well, I guess if there's any good news to that, the Neptune Pisces will sextile. It is sextiling that Pluto through transit.
Right.
And, so there will be hopefully a way through, of course. But it is, it is a time now that with Saturn especially has been squaring, not now, but in the past, was squaring that Neptune. And so things got a little out of control, a little crazy. Things are a little crazy right now because they are in this country. Every day something crazier occurs, but it is creating a lot of hysteria, which is a very Neptunian word, and I hear it. I think I shared this last week with Flora Nalbandian, which felt like a month ago that all that took place here in the U.S. was this firing of the FBI Director Comey, and there's been so much occurring here, but I have just I don't think I've had one client since November that hasn't brought up how they're feeling about just living here and being here and how everything feels so shifted and different and unstable. So if you are if you're a strong 12th house person, if you have any strong Pisces energy in your chart, you are going to be picking up on the collective. You are going to be osmosing the energy of the whole, not just yourself. You aren't going to know if what you're feeling is your stuff or somebody else's fear. And so it can create, a great deal of fear along those lines, because the emotional body is your gut check, right? It's just kind of letting you know how things are going. So anyway, the good news, as I said, with that generation, though, being in that Pluto is forming a sextile to Neptune, although not for the whole generation, I realize. But it will hopefully allow people to reach a little deeper, ask bigger questions, get a bigger God, looking at the whole, not just what's in front of them, considering all things, including, what happens to this planet long term. You think about environmental issues and global warming. So there's a lot at stake right now, for sure. Remember, one more thing before I forget, Simon, is that transiting Pluto is conjunct its own south node. So all these people that are being born under this transit have Pluto conjunct its own south node of the zodiac. It's a real metamorphic time, and yet they chose to come in for their own reasons, to be a part of that.
Well, this is that's such a powerful key statement, because let's just spend like a minute or two objectifying the symbolic representation of these energies, okay? When you take Pluto, we're talking about everything that was emotionally on an unconscious level, manifested, created, crystallized, concrete, established. Everything that was that, as Pluto was moving through the signs, has now had to reach a point in which that no longer serves the current evolutionary state of where we are today. So we're basically always in constant relationship to outdated paradigms that are interfacing with progressive thinking of people that are on the planet right now, that have an evolutionary development that is past where Pluto was. So as an example, Pluto in Libra is souls that incarnate after the Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto in Cancers, right? Immediately you can identify that even me, Pluto and Libras, we're like the way that society is structured regarding social equality is terrible, and that these norms need to be broken, and we're here to change that, right, through being just ourselves. Like, a lot of Pluto Libra souls are just born into feeling as if their relationship to themselves and their body is just not, like, in harmony with what society has deemed to be right and wrong. So immediately there's a confrontation that is challenging the outdated thinking patterns in which humanity has crystallized itself and represents itself through how we identify. Remember, Capricorn reflects the nature of our boundaries in consciousness, and through its polarity, we get to see who we are because those boundaries create a mirror. It's like it's a reflection. So, and that's why Pisces is hysteria, because the moment you take Saturn out of the equation regarding Neptune, then all you have is total openness. So you can't see yourself because there isn't anything reflecting back to you who you are. There's no boundary. It's just totality. So you have this interesting dynamic where Pluto transits its own south node, which means that not only on a, like, you know, over the last 256 years worth of emotional and psychological and human development have we, you know, identified ourselves through as an industrial revolution and the way that we intellectualize our truths, etc. All of our core philosophies, right? We're talking about the South Node being in that position for like 6,000 years. So think about the consistent amounts of Pluto returns that have progressively crystallized the way that we have imprinted our DNA and progression, and that being brought to the surface. I mean, the mind itself cannot even begin to conceive what it is that is actually transpiring right now. And so for a lot of even begin to feel into that experience, get intensely overwhelmed because the gravity of what is occurring is so intense that we can only focus on ourselves. And so by that process, we are immediately thrown back in on our own sense of emotional crystallization and development and conditioning, and then we begin to see what we have been. And it's through that process that we begin to then change through reflection. And again, Capricorn correlates to the nature of hindsight, right? So we look at our past actions, we see that they're obviously limited in our capacity, we decide to make new choices, and those two choices then represent progression. So these Pluto and Capricorns are growing up in a world in which we, the parents, we, the people right now, are emerging with this consciousness. It's like they're actually just being imprinted by an awakening experience. By the time they get to their age, whatever the world looks like is going to be remotely different because we've had the Pluto and Scorpios come in power, we've got the Pluto and Sagittarius that have come in power. So to them, they carry the imprint of something that looks very much different to what this is about. But to them, they are the game changers. They are the ones that are being imprinted from us to change the way that society gets established, which is why their ruling planet is Saturn. Just reflecting on the nature of what I'm sharing over there is it's a lot, in my opinion, at least.
Wow. Yep, that's so true. All right, well, we are going to move to a break. We have more to say about Pluto and Capricorn. I'm here with Simon Forster, simonforster.com.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary Astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Shh. Over here. Here's a secret for a virus-free computer. ESET. They've been a pioneer in the antivirus industry for over 25 years. 25 years of innovative, top-rated antivirus protection. ESET's award-winning security solutions provide a safe online experience for over 100 million home and business computer owners. They are so affordable, fast, and simple to use. So be gone, you blue screen of death. ESET's on my computer. If it's not on yours, visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on ESET now.
iHome Audio has become the #1 brand in the iPod iPhone accessories market. Visit the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and click on iHome Audio now.
What would happen if you didn't follow the established path? Would Makes you feel scared or proud? Could you explain that helping the people of Peru improve their own community would also have an effect on your own? Would you rather make your own way or spend a lifetime saying, what if? Life is calling. How far will you go? Peace Corps. To find out more, call 1-800-424-8580 or go to peacecorps.gov.
I'm William Shatner, and this is Jimmy. Animals like Jimmy are often left behind by people fleeing hurricanes, fires, floods, and earthquakes. These abandoned animals cannot survive on their own. If you must evacuate your home, please never leave an animal behind. If you absolutely cannot take your animal with you, never leave them helplessly chained or caged. Many animals die because they cannot escape fires or rising waters. Animals need your help. Thank you.
Call PETA today, 757-622-PETA.
Okay, so you see a product you like on your favorite TV show, and you're going to write the number down. But if you're like me, you run around trying to find that pen and piece of paper, which magically disappears every time you need them. Then when you get back to the TV, they're already on to something else. Well, now there's a solution. Seen on TV products have combined all the best TV offers online and in one place. It's one-stop shopping. Just visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on the Seen on TV products. Then, who cares if that pesky pen or paper does the disappearing act?
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
All right, we are back. I'm here with Simon Forster. We're discussing the Pluto and Capricorn generation. And before I forget, also, this will be our last show of this series before we embark upon a new journey together. We will be looking at the nodes through the houses, looking at the South Node and the North Node through the houses for a special request that I received. And that will be at least a 12-month go-around, if not more, if we end up spending more time on the house. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, digging into those archetypes more deeply. All right, Simon, back to you.
Okay, so what we're saying, like just emphasizing the fact that, these Pluto and Capricorns that come into this lifetime and what they are, this is happening on an individual level as well for them. What I also have found really, really amazing is that because of the nature of the internet, because of the acceleration that already occurred through Uranus moving through Aquarius and Neptune moving through Aquarius, and them, there are some Pluto and Capricorns that have got Uranus in Pisces, and some of them got Uranus, Neptune in Aquarius. But as an overall general, arc, the Pluto and Caps will have they would have already had Neptune transit through Aquarius and Uranus transit through Aquarius and Pisces. So we've already, to them, the acceleration of humanity's connection on a global level is accepted. In other words, 2, 3-year-olds really could have the potential to have an iPad. They already know how to interact with technology in a way that we would need to learn at the age of 30 or 40, depending on when technology became part of your life. Whereas for them, it's the age of 2. I mean,
that is amazing.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
And what's fascinating is, my 2-year-old, I've got these little, mind games that you can, games that you can play on the tablet where she's putting colors together and doing all these things. And I find it so fascinating because it's not that wasn't available to us when we were kids, but their stimulation of mental and emotional development is so much more faster because of the access to so much more information that we have available due to the internet. So that acceleration to them has already taken place. So to them, when they have parents that have access to information from all over the world regarding other parents sharing, inclusion, right, they have the potential to develop and have a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for, the sentence structure. I'll do it this way instead. My children have this ability where, as a parent, I can interact with them and understand their emotional needs because there was somebody writing on the internet that was observing how their own trauma was interacting with their children and how they were able to heal their trauma through doing that, like healing their own trauma, and then actually being able to be emotionally available for their own children. And watching how, by just writing a blog and sharing that, she actually managed to, like, influence over 100 parents that were struggling deeply with the intensity that the Pluto and Capricorn children bring to the table on an emotional level. These kids are intense, okay? Uranus and Aries. Okay, Pluto's polarity point is Cancer in this case. These kids are emotional, and they are massively sensitive, Neptune and Pisces. So they're, like, my daughter teaches me so much empathy. It's unbelievable. I'm not saying that this is, like, not even, this is not exclusive. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to, like, say that these have a special thing, but what I've noticed, I'm a Pluto in the 10th house soul, and I have children that are born with Pluto in Capricorn. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like, the way I interact with them, it's like, oh, we're teaching each other over here. And they do. They're so sensitive that when they're so sensitive to your emotions that they can tell you exactly how you're feeling. And I've watched them. And it's like, are you okay? I mean, how many videos on YouTube have you seen where you've got these little Pluto and Caps educating their parents and saying, Mommy, that's not a good thing over there, and I'd like you to take 2 or 3 breaths. I'm like, this is a 4-year-old. 5-year-old. What's going on here? And they just rock. Okay? All so cool. Rock in their own generation. But for me, because I get to bond with them every single day, they challenge me like you can't believe, because they're so strongly willed. You know how Jeffrey talks about with Uranus and Aries, or Uranus in the first house, as people that have got this kind of like Superman complex, in which they feel like there's no limitations, there's no boundary, right? And they need to learn how to recognize their boundaries. Well, these kids got it. They're just like, they'll push your boundaries until you begin to recognize where your boundaries are, emotional boundaries are at, or where you need to develop them. And through you being able to put your boundaries in place, they then get the opportunity to understand how to understand their own emotional boundaries, as well as have the opportunity to teach it to you, like share it with you. And like, everybody's learning about boundaries, Capricorn, right? Mm-hmm. And it's profound. It's so profound because it's funny because I talk to my partner and I say to her, I understand why the majority of the Pluto and Scorpios are going to have these as kids, because the Pluto and Sagittarius, which we have one of in the house, and we've spoken about before, and you've mentioned yourself, it's like, they're just like chilled, relaxed, whatever goes, right? So the Pluto Libra generation, like me, that doesn't really want conflict and wants balance and wants, neutrality. When I get two Pluto and Capricorn children that just push your boundaries and are dominating and will tell you who's the boss, right? They're not coming into the situation saying, I'm going to tell you how I feel, or let's be natural. They're like, look, you do that, you do this. There's little bosses. And if you agree with them, they will just like walk through you. And that's what I find so funny. It's like, I understand why the Pluto and Scorpios would have, because the Pluto and Scorpios are like, right, this is what you need to do. You need to brush your teeth right now, because your teeth are going to get, like, affected if you don't listen to me right now. Why? Because this. But who used to say that I need to make decisions? Why is that the case? Like, they challenge us, because that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to challenge the outer authority, because this is where we're going. We're going into a space in which we're recognizing that outer authority is where we find ourselves disempowered. Yeah. And look what's happening in the outside world right now in terms of, again, I repeat this a million times, all of the external governments are just having so much rebellion. Government structures just, we need to unearth all the distortion, and they're growing up in this.
Yeah. Those are great stories. I love it. But we got to go to a break. We'll be right back with Simon.
See straight and save. These days, everyone seems to see things differently. But from your eyes, you can see straight and save. Right now, get glasses online at 70% off at Glasses USA. There's a 100% guarantee, too, on top brand men, women, multifocal, and even prescription sunglasses. Visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Glasses USA, and you will see straight and save.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary Astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed, personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Have you ever wondered why you were here on this planet and what the point to all of this is? Evolutionary astrology is a natural science that allows for an understanding of the evolutionary journey of the soul from life to life. Evolutionary astrology provides a vehicle to understand prior life dynamics that have led to the reason and purpose for the life you live. It offers a depth of information and insights about each person that no other type of astrology can provide. As Jeffrey Wolf Green, the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, says,
for those who wish to unveil the depth of who you actually are, I would highly recommend that you seek out qualified evolutionary astrologers such as Kristen Fontana and other graduated students of the School of Evolutionary Astrology. For those who are considering becoming an astrologer to make it a natural career, I'd recommend that you consider Jeffrey Wolf Green's School of Evolutionary Astrology, or it will assist you in answering and your clients answering a big question. Why am I here? Thanks for listening. God bless.
To get your message out, social media is great. But if you want to be picked up by major media outlets, let's face it, just using social media makes your chances, well, slim to none. If you want to improve your chances, put your message in the right place. A press release on PR Web. Affordable, easy to use, and with great customer service, there's no reason not to use PR Web. Visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on PR Web now and get started.
There's hundreds of fun and simple things you and your family can do to live a healthier lifestyle. Here's 20 of them. Eat less, eat slower, eat smarter, eat your fruits and veggies. Stop eating before you're full. Up your fiber, lower your calories, get off the bus early, do some gardening, do jumping jacks, take the stairs, take one, not two, take on a new sport, take a long walk home, walk instead of drive, bend, stretch, reach for the stars, climb the monkey bars, skip the fudge bars. Search We Can online to find more ways you and your family can get healthy together. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
All right, we are back. I'm here with Simon Forster from Sweden, and his website is SIMON, V as in Victor, ORS as in Sam, TER. And during the break we were chatting, and it is true that our children are here to teach us, of course. And I am a Sag, and I have a Pisces and a Virgo child, and so there's already that growth going on. But I was mentioning to Simon on the break that my kids have Pluto in the 6th, and they're in Sagittarius, and I am a Pluto and Virgo generation soul, and I'm a Sagittarius. So we both, all of us have this kind of mutable thing going on where we're constantly. Obviously I'm a parent, so hopefully I'm teaching them a thing or two, but they are teaching me probably 10 times what I feel like I'm able to offer them. It's an amazing thing, and humor is always part of the journey for us. It's a Sagittarian necessity to be able to laugh at ourselves, right? So yeah. I think it's very common for parents to, of course, have children that have either a sun sign or even a Pluto position or in a sign that creates a strong angle of growth to your own. So it's funny. I love your stories. They're great. So anyway.
Yeah. What I noticed as well that I wanted to share is that, the Pluto and Capricorn children are, the Pluto and Leos are their grandkids. I mean, their grandparents.
Right.
And, majority of them. And, they see a lot of, they just impart a lot of wisdom onto them. And it's a special connection between them. I think that the Pluto and Leos have reached a point in themselves where there's a lot of softness, and their opportunity to watch these kids grow, they impart a lot of that softness onto them. Of course, this is not the totality. There are other experiences, but I noticed that that's something that has always caught my eye when I've watched the interaction. And they're so caring and wanting to just share and love, and I think that it heals them a great deal, the Pluto and Leos, because, think about it. the Pluto in Caps come in with a very strong sense of emotional experience, and most Pluto in Leos had parents that were Pluto in Cancer, so they get to basically heal a lot of their own inner emotional states through just interacting with the Pluto in Capricorns, because the Pluto in Capricorns carry such a sensitivity, as I said. So that's something that's really amazing to watch as well, or at least as I see, and I, watch and talk to clients that have got that situation. And the Pluto in Scorpios, like I said, most of them are going to be giving life to these Pluto in Caps and Pluto in Capricorn. And I know from experience that a lot of Pluto in Scorpio souls are looking for a family. With them having Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn themselves, a lot of their children will have Pluto on top of that Neptune and Uranus, just as a majority of the Pluto in Virgo parents will have Pluto and Scorpio children with their Pluto on top of their Neptunes. Virgo has Neptune in Scorpio, and Pluto in Scorpio, that's Pluto in Scorpio, right? So there is a thing in which the Pluto in Capricorn children will hold space for the Pluto and Scorpios to really connect with the sensitivity that they felt that they might have never had when they were growing up. And that's why, to me, I feel like there's a lot of, there was an explosion to me. This is my own personal experience and observations here. But I noticed that a lot of the Pluto and Scorpios carry a lot of emotional pain with them, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, around the sadness in the family, whether it be mom and dad not being friends, whether it be dad just spending a lot of time away, whether it be mom just being completely overwhelmed because everything was left to her in that sense, whatever dynamic it might be. And not because their sadness is, linked with something other than they are just sensitive themselves. And the Pluto and Cancer kids, Pluto and Capricorn kids, will give them this opportunity to say, hey, we're also deeply sensitive that really do need to be nurtured. And this is what I was trying to say around about with the information on the internet, is that I've learned so much about how to sit and listen to my Pluto and Capricorn kids when they are crying at the age of 2 and say, okay, I'm hearing you, I'm listening to you. It wasn't easy to recognize that because it's not conditioned in me, but because I never had that growing up. But as I began to recognize how important it was for them to be heard, even if it was just them emotionally crying, that's what's so funny. We have this intellectual idea that words define language, whereas emotions are also a language. So right now, and it might sound incredibly bizarre, but have you ever considered giving or hearing your 3-year-old or 2-year-old or 4-year-old have an emotional release? Right? It's a weird thing. What do you mean to have an emotional release? They're not adults. They can't emotional release. Well, they are so sensitive. My 4-year-old is so sensitive that at some point you'll notice when her emotions are full to the brim, that's it. She'll just display complete and utter reactions to things that have no rationality to them. And you can see that really what she's saying is that I'm so full of emotions, I need to be able to be confronted. I need to be able to release them. So what we do is we hold her and we say to her, hey, we love you, and right now I'm just going to be with you right now, and we trigger her. So we'll say to her something that's annoying her, right? Like in her case, she whatever it is that's triggering her, we'll continue to do that. And then what happens is that she starts to release those emotions, and you just hear these big feelings come out. And you're like, is it really real that a 4-year-old can have such big feelings? But once you start to notice that she breaks down and cries, within about 2 minutes after that big release, she just sits there, gives you the biggest hug in the world, and just is as sweet as anything, with no issues, no complications, no nothing. And that is such a powerful lesson for us. That you were talking earlier about emotional release and blockages and dis-ease. It doesn't begin at the age of 18. It doesn't begin at the age of 24. It begins at 5 and at 3 and at 2 when you tell your little one like that. And it's such a fascinating thing that I'm almost at a point where I can't even begin to slow down in what I want to share. So I hope that this is okay. But, our relationship to God, Goddess, is intertwined on a biological level with the pineal gland, okay? And what happens is, just below there is the pituitary gland. And the endocrine system is directly responsible for the hormones released in our body relative to how we experience our reality. So you sit down and you tell a 1-year-old, no, it can't have this cookie. And you just say, no, you're not allowed it. And you don't explain to them because you think as an adult that they don't understand. Like, what happens is they internalize it as it's their fault because they haven't developed separateness in themselves yet. So they don't know that dad or mom is maybe stressed or is forgot to explain to you why you can't have the cookie. You just hear this energetic imprint of no. So you internalize this imprint, and progressively we become more crystallized in our pineal gland, and the pituitary gland sends out hormones to the body to say disassociate, because it's numbing out the sadness that we feel that we can't process at the age of 1 and 2. So what happens is that we progressively over our lives become unable to really know how to truly access our feelings because they're so suppressed. So you have these Pluto and Caps that come in and say, hey, guys, we're trying to heal each other, Neptune through Pisces. We're trying to liberate ourselves from all crystallized emotional imprinting, Uranus and Aries square Pluto and Capricorn. And we're trying to allow ourselves to be more free and authentic and not have samskaras and emotional blockages in ourselves. And the way that we do that is we recognize these emotions, we release them within ourselves through non-judgment, and we feel better. And it's like, that is the level that these kids are showing us if we're awake to the realization that that's what's happening. That every single time we say to them no, we go through this process of saying, and then you emotionally express to them that the reason why we're saying no is because of this. Even if your mind can't conceptualize the idea that a 2-year-old can't understand you, it doesn't matter because they feel you. And as a parent, and as any parent, like, helping these children grow, the best thing you can do is be there for them on an emotional level so that when they get older, they can then be there for themselves on an emotional level. And that's the change. The realization that emotions are the vehicle for evolution. And if we shut that down, we're basically just going to continue and perpetuate the cycle of disassociation, numbing the pain, thinking that it's okay, that war propaganda and all this type of chaos that exists in the world is fine because we're so numbed out from it. Mm-hmm. That we need to eat things that cause us to have the body not respected. I mean, it's such a large topic, and I don't want to kind of use all the time, but that's where I'm going. That's where that's what these children really do challenge us with.
All right. Excellent. More to share. One more break. We'll be right back.
For all your live or pre-recorded webcasting needs, come to earthchannel.com. Get your web-based message out to a select group or the whole world. It's easy. A pioneer in webcasting, earthchannel.com provides the best products and services to big corporations and government users. And now this same technology is available to you. They have the best Earthcast encoders, servers, and products to meet your technical needs. But wait, don't want to mess with the technical stress? No problem. They'll do it for you. EarthChannel.com is your answer. You can use webcasting for lots of things like advertising, marketing, customer support, training, and don't forget web radio and TV. In fact, you're listening to a live Earthcast right now. So come to EarthChannel.com. Actualize your audio or video webcasting needs today. You can't beat the friendly service or the price. Call earthchannel.com at 1-800-849-8978. That's 1-800-849-8978.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary Astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
We all have a story, and film is an inspiring way to bring those stories to life, to connect, to build community. LunaFest, from the makers of Luna Whole Nutrition for Women, is a film festival by, for, and about women, dedicated to building community through the power of film, through the power of story. You're invited to your local LunaFest, an evening celebrating women, film, and the stories that connect us all. To attend an event near you, visit lunafest.org. That's LUNAFEST.org.
When you need a positive point of view, turn to HealthyLife.net, your 24/7 radio network for a better future.
All right, we are back. I'm here with Simon Forster, and Josh, on the break we were chatting a little bit, and I was thinking to myself about, I love this example of Capricorn and repressing emotion, and the example being where if you're in a swimming pool and you've got a beach ball, right, and we can imagine that maybe that beach ball is filled with all of your emotions, and you're trying to submerge this beach ball underwater, and whether you're in a lake or a pool, I know most people have tried this. And you're pushing that ball underwater, and excuse me, it's very hard to control, right? If you can't hold on to it for very long, that ball of emotion, you can only stuff it down so far before it just darts up and out of the pool and like hits someone in the face, or you lose control of that ball of emotion. And I was sharing, that's through the polarity of that Cancer. There's such tenderness underneath that Capricorn exterior. The underbelly is so soft. Anyone who is a Capricorn, has strong Capricorn energy, you know what I'm talking about. So when you put this soul structure, this soul in a Pluto and Capricorn, you know that it's not just about being in charge and being controlling and needing to be authority. There's just so much more there. And I was sharing, too, in my own experience, having new neighbors with 3 children under the age of 5 or 6, and the volume at times, the emotion is just absolutely just... it makes my soul just quake listening to it at times, because you can feel what they're feeling. It just reverberates through my own walls, right? And I'm just next door with it. But it is, now that you've shared this, being a parent, when they're not your children having this emotion, you just want them to hush up, right? But I'm feeling you, Simon, like to have kids that just really need to just let it out. You want to encourage that emotion to come out, up and out.
Oh, and there is so much. It's actually, like, for me as a person that's hypersensitive to that and grew up with an emotionally repressive home environment that's intensely just, affected by emotional suppression, when my kids just, it was mentally, like, I couldn't understand it. It was actually very, very disturbing for me to really understand what was going on. But then when it clicked for me one day, it was like, what we're trying to teach them is to realize is to encourage them to not fear their emotions, because they have such big feelings.
Right. God, that's a good point. I feel, too, that with the Pluto and Capricorn, of course, they're going to fear that they will be judged for their emotion. And I was over here judging these little kids for sure, because, on Sunday morning at 7, that's not really what you want to hear. No. I wasn't really judging them, but I was just, it was, but you feel that, too, that, their parents are great. I can hear how they're dealing with it, and they're very sort of, I would say, bohemian in nature, so they sort of roll with it. But Pluto and Capricorn also can mean that they've been stuffing and shoving that emotion down deeper, deeper, deeper. Think about Scorpio, Pluto, right? And Capricorn, it's like the bottom is so deep, that they've been storing this stuff for so long, the time that in their lifetimes that they've been storing this. And so, it's a life that's where they've got to get to the bottom of it. It's got to come out finally. And lucky for your kids, they have you to understand this and to create a space where they can express it, release it.
Yeah, but, the way that it came to me wasn't like, I had this innate understanding of it. It was like, hold on, I'm actually being that person, and then realizing through the internet of, like, awakening children to the realization of what's going on, it was like, hold on, the moment I began practicing that with them, I was confronted with all my stuff. So I actually have my own material being healed through having to interact with them. And it was the realization of acknowledging the feeling. And then I started making the connection that the only reason why we're doing this is because look at the state of the world today. We are all having this emotional purification take place in which people are rising up, Uranus and Aries, against oppressive experiences that no longer support natural law. So that's why I say, like, astrology, EA in that sense, is like bringing that through. And that's why I do this work, because I'm like, I'm seeing something here, you're seeing something here. And the more we can share it, the more we can help those who are on that path of desiring to want to understand it on a deeper level, can really help their lives. And just by simply understanding that these kids are growing up in an environment in which we are just developing this as a collective experience, not as like individuated people, some people in India, some people in Australia, and some people in the States. I'm talking about like everybody having access to emotional release videos on YouTube and reading loads and loads of articles from parents that are sharing how they're doing this. I mean, how many parents have shared on their blogs like the day-to-day experience of going, my child is emotionally breaking down and I don't know how to interact with this, and they're processing stuff so fast that their emotional reality is being developed faster than ourselves. So they need that emotional release, but we think of it as tantrums because it's just, it's not supporting our patriarchal ways of time management. Whereas really they're just going like, we're not here to understand time. We're evolving it. When we're having a breakdown, it's because we can't contain it anymore. Don't suppress it because time needs to be in on it. It's like breaking down our ideas on such a deep level. And if we're not aware of that process, we just think they're having a tantrum. Whereas on certain degrees they are, but,
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of parents out there that are not going to allow them to have that tantrum, and then it just continues to repeat, the repression and everything that we repress, remember, people, becomes distorted. Everything in our life. Right. As an adult, as a child, we want to encourage everything to come out in whatever way it needs to. So anyway, that was a wonderful hour, and if we have any more tidbits to share, we can follow up with that on another show perhaps. But we are going to be moving into a new series next month, looking at the nodes through the houses. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Can't wait, Simon. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you all for being here today, and we'll be back again next time. Until then, namaste.